What is up, bros? Josh here. Today's video is all about the USS Salem, the Tier 10 USN cruiser, and is it worth it or not? The way you obtain this ship is by bouncing over to the arsenal, clicking on ships, going to the Salem, of course, and then purchasing the ship for 240,000 coal or 180,000 with the coupon. I highly recommend buying any high-ticket item like this, big steel ships, or the high-ticket ships like the Jean Bart or the Salem, or any of the upcoming steel or coal ships with the coupon. You will save yourself a lot of time because 60,000 coal will take you a while to get. As we all know, coal is basically time gated through events, missions, and daily containers. So you can only get so much a day. So definitely it is a big investment of your time to get that much coal. So the two values we will look at, basically 240k and 180k. We'll just look at a high coal value for this ship, and then looking at throughout this review, is it worth it or not for that value? So one of the first things you will see with this ship is that it looks just like a Des Moines, and that's because it basically is. Now, I know they're not identical to the ship, so when I make these comparisons, just know that I'm kind of doing a broad comparison to these ships, or kind of a wide comparison to these ships, because they're kind of the same thing. But as per anything in World of Warships, the things that are the same tend to be just a tad different, and this is definitely the case of that. So comparing the ships themselves, the Tier 10 USN, and first of all, the Salem is going to play just like the Des Moines. I did a video a long time ago about the USS Salem being able to be a bit more aggressive, and you obviously can, and we'll get to why you can be more aggressive, and we'll also show some gameplay of the Salem, and then I'll give my thoughts on the ship. But the Salem itself, 49,700 health pool. That's pretty good for this tier, and as you can compare it to the Des Moines, it's just a tad under. The Des Moines actually has 900 more health, and you won't really notice it throughout the game. It's going to feel just like the Des Moines. Artillery is identical to the actual ship. Now, throughout this, all the values we are going through, obviously we don't have a captain in there right now, but these are the modules we are using on the identical to the same ships. So main battery mod 3, that's why we're getting down to the 4.8 second reload. Obviously concealment for it. Propulsion, because it is a USN cruiser. We are using the bumped up AA. I tend to like having a few more planes being shot down. We are using fire prevention. You could obviously use the surveillance radar for both of these ships. Kind of highly recommend it. And then aiming main armament mod 1. But the actual ships themselves are going to be pretty similar. So main battery, 4.8 second reload, good alpha damage. Obviously it's USN alpha pen and USN pen angles, so it's going to be fantastic. Secondary armaments, nothing to write home about. You aren't going to be loading any big secondary builds. And then the main battery hit of 15.8. That may seem very short for this kind of cruiser, but the majority of your fights are going to be within that range. And instead of taking the range module, which some people do, I would prefer to just do a lot more damage within that 15.5 kilometer range instead of hitting a few extra shells with that range. Also, this helps stay undetected in certain fights if you have to go open water or not. So that's just my thought process on that. AA defense. Now the Salem is going to have a tad lower AA rating than the Des Moines because of the type of AA. It is lacking some of the, I believe, the 120 or the 20 millimeters. Yeah, so you're lacking just a little bit of these. Now it has it's going to feel noticeable to that, although you can stack up obviously a build and still be able to shred planes. It is still the USN cruiser. And then maneuverability, 33 knots, 770 meters. It's all the same. So this is all basically the same ship. Now I do highly recommend, if you can, going over and picking up the one of the Doe brothers for the these ships, these USN ships, because John Doe and George Doe, this one for coal, this one for doubloons, has expert loader and expert marksmanship. I tend to run, I think I have John Doe for my captain for this, and it does definitely help. But the main things that sets this thing apart from the Des Moines is its consumables. And the consumables that we're going to be looking at are radar surveillance, which the USN line is known for, and also the heal. Now, radar, what you are getting with this ship is a shorter range radar, kind of like the Tier 7-ish with the, you would see like with a Atlanta, 8.5 kilometer range, 25-second action time, and then a reload of 120 seconds. Now, if we click over to the Des Moines, they just got those normalized ratings of 10 kilometers for 40 seconds, 120. So the Des Moines has that better, longer range radar, longer on the action time, and you will be able to keep things lit up for a longer. But there has to be some kind of trade-off, right? Well, if you look at the Des Moines heal, 253 HP per second, 28 seconds on the action time, and then 80 seconds on the reload. If you click over to the Salem, this is where you make up having a shorter range radar, and it's almost 1,000. So 994 HP per second, 20 seconds, so shorter on the action time, but you are able to heal the Citadel damage as well, 80 seconds on that. And if you go and click on the Indian Delta flag, we'll check out those values since you should be running this on most of your high tier cruisers for sure. We can get that heal up to almost 1200 HP per second. So you're looking at potentially, if you roll everything perfect, 20,000 plus HP per heal. And again, this is without a survivor or a superintendent captain. So that's just 3 charges. And if we go and assign our captain throughout, which we would be using our John Doe, throwing him on there. Let's just show what we get. We also get that, if you go back to modules, we get that 4th slot. So this is your trade-off with the ship. You get a much better repair, but you get a shorter not only duration but range of your radar. So that is basically your trade-off, and that's kind of the only thing you're going to notice with the ship. So you kind of have a tankier Des Moines and a less useful kind of jack of all trades with the radar and other things like that. Now, just showing my captain build throughout this video, then we'll get into some gameplay, is I do have expert loader. You won't really be using that as much with the DM because the reload is already so fast. Expert marksmanship. One thing I might end up trading off is I may actually trade away from AFT. I'm kind of falling out of love, but this is my change here. Also, this is my Alaska captain basically. But one thing I could do is actually get rid of expert loader. The only thing I have is because it is the buffed version, since it is John Doe. Expert marksmanship is actually very nice. But once I get 19 points, I may end up trading out of expert loader and then trade into adrenaline rush because it's fantastic. But of course, concealment expert, superintendent, BFT, all these kind of things that just kind of help you throughout. But adrenaline rush is fantastic. I am falling out of love with AFT though, little by little. So maybe end up changing that out of the 4 points that there, and then maybe free up something else, maybe pick up demo expert, or even jack of all trades if need be, getting those heals out faster and faster. But let's dive into some gameplay with the Salem. I'll show you what I think this ship is good at, get into some situations where we would see both the same play from the Des Moines and the Salem, and let you know what I think of this ship being worth that much coal, and my thoughts on if you guys should pick it up or not. Well, here we are in game with the Salem, and I did div up with a CV to hopefully show off a little bit of its AA, and we actually got a really good map for both the Des Moines and the Salem. Again, I will kind of compare them both because they're kind of the same thing. And the reason why Warrior Path is so good, because if you just look at the mini map, there's lots of islands, close quarters, points you can hold down, and this is kind of the USN dream for USN cruisers. What you want to do is find areas where you can kind of point up, post up, launch shells over, and use kind of both your stealth, your arc, your trajectory of your shells to kind of hide behind while things get spotted. One of the things too that's nice about this, especially for the Salem, is there's lots of island cover to get in closer to caps because you do have that shorter range radar. The ways that you will play this though, honestly, this is one thing I kind of want to talk about, is majority of the games is you won't feel the difference between the Salem or the Des Moines. Now the heal is fantastic. The heal is very, very big. You can heal a lot of damage. That's probably the most I mean, you'll heal in that, so you can be a tad more aggressive because you can just heal more damage. And also, you will kind of feel your T-Rex arm level radar for high tier maps. One thing that you would feel a tad more comfortable, and you know, it may not seem like a lot, 1.5 kilometer range. Well, if you look at my detection, 10.9 kilometers, well, you know, if something is getting close or I'm spotted, a lot of the times with that 10 kilometer radar, you'll be able to actually rate, or kind of, if you're spotted, you know that you could probably radar it. With 8.5, most of the time you end up radaring something and nothing is around you or even within your range to radar. Well, obviously something's around you, but the majority of the games, if you aren't hitting those radars or locking down caps or kind of just, you know, This is only a 2DD game, so there's not really much to radar, and it's a 2DD game, and they're both in the same div, so they're going to be obviously rolling together. Now that I see that, my radar is kind of useless, so I'm not really going to notice that too much. Now, one thing that is nice is you have the ability to kind of quote-unquote open water a bit more, and what I mean by that is you have the ability to kind of start free roaming a tad more, because you know if you take even a citadel here or there, or even take a tad more damage from something else, you have that ability to heal back some of that life, especially with up to 1200, almost 1200 HP per second on that 20-second heal. So that's one thing that is kind of nice, but I'll be honest with you, there's the price tag is something that kind of I look at and go, wow, is this actually worth it? Now, one thing, if you really enjoy the Des Moines and you want a premium version of the Des Moines, this might be for you. But looking at kind of the broad look of everything, now one thing this thing has is it doesn't have the same credit earnings that that most premium ships have, but one thing it does is its premium camo cuts down its repair in half, so you kind of get it anyway. But a lot of people ask me what will earn more credits, the Des Moines or the Jean Bart, another ship that's available for coal. I'll put a link down below on my Is It Worth It video for the Jean Bart. But the Jean Bart will tend to farm more damage, although in the end it is up to your playstyle. But honestly, to me, the Salem, I just don't quite see it, because the positives that the Salem brings compared to the Des Moines tend to not get used as much as you hope they would, and in the end you just kind of end up playing, like right here I'm radared and there's not really much I could do. If I was in a Des Moines, I bet you, and I know this DD ends up getting spotted in just a second, so let's see if my Des Moines radar would have caught this guy and my radar, so he would have been at 8.5. He just got into my range with the Salem, so that's kind of a good example of having this kind of T-Rex arm level radar where you're just not really able to do anything. But one thing I can see right now is the map layout, and I can be a bit more aggressive. You can do that a tad more in this ship. But let's look at 240k and then again 180k if you have the coupon for the ship. And do I think it's worth it? Honestly, no. I really don't. I feel like this is a ship that you should pick up if you have, let's say, just too much coal. Now, you will only get so much coal per day. Obviously, if you're playing every day and you get your, you know, you can get up to 2, 3, 4k coal per day, and doing all the missions and getting lucky with your resource containers and whatnot, you can get a decent amount of coal, but it's still fixed on how much you can actually get. But really, when you play this, it feels like a Des Moines. And so one thing I like to do when I break down if a ship is worth it or not, are you getting something unique? Are you getting something different? And are you getting an experience that you couldn't get for something else in the tech tree? This, now, again, outside of maybe a good bonus on the heal or, you know, something like that, it just seems too similar to the actual ship. And actually, in some situations, it's actually worse, because you want that actual longer range radar to hold down and kind of deny caps. With the Salem, you can get into a spot where really something can push in, and you just can't have the ability to radar the ship and push them away. You know, outside of a couple abilities to just tank more damage, you're not really going to be using that much, and you know, you'd still be able to probably heal in a lot of situations almost as much damage with the actual Des Moines. So there is some things that are lost there for value for me, because you just don't get a unique enough experience outside of a tech tree ship. And what I mean by that is that's a lot of coal. Now, if you just look at 2-3k coal a day, let's just look at 3k, that's a lot of days to put into a ship that is kind of like a ship you can get for free. Again, if you love the USN cruisers and you want a premium version of the Des Moines, and you want something that is a little bit different, sure, and you have the coal, that's by all means. I know a lot of people play a tad more casually, so that's kind of the person I know that will be really looking forward to this, or looking at these videos, and I just don't see the actual value or the worth of this ship compared to something else that's already in the game that you can get for free by just playing. It's a lot of time it takes a lot of time to get this much coal, and what you get from this ship, in my opinion, is not unique enough to warrant that time for grinding the coal. I don't want to say, I'm not saying it's a bad ship, but I'm saying the reason it's good is this ship is good is the reason that the Des Moines is good. So, you know, breaking something out like the Jean Bart, some people might say, well, the Jean Bart is just like the Richelieu, the Tier 8 French battleship. Well, the Jean Bart actually brings something unique because it has that bursting ability of the reload consumable. That's something that really sets that apart, and it kind of gives you a different experience when it comes to the ship. The Salem basically is a Des Moines with a, I wouldn't say useless radar, but I would say a worse radar that plays just like a DM, you know? So I don't want to kind of harp on that and say that too many times this game, but that kind of really hurts the value and the worth of this ship, in my opinion. It's still a fantastic ship, but the reason it's good is because the Des Moines is good. Now you will kind of see most situations like right here is this is normal DM play. I have played normal DM. I'm taking very little damage. I don't think we even really get that big of a heal right here. And this isn't a crazy game that I had this game. It's not a bunch of extra damage. I thought I was gonna get wrecked right here. And see, we took a nice little 7k. You can see that we can heal up a little bit more, so that is kind of nice. But outside of that, it's not like I would have been in fear of my life this game, and this heal kind of helped me, you know, live any longer. But again, the DPM is fantastic, but again, that's one of the main things I want to harp on, is the reasons why this ship is so good is because that the Des Moines itself is good. Playstyle will be almost identical, the experience will be almost identical, and most of the time you will actually feel, in my opinion, you will feel the downside of the radar compared to the upside of the heal. That is definitely something that I noticed when I was playing, is that I was lacking the range of radar and not really getting the benefit of the heal. Now that was a nice little maybe 4 or 5k heal for us right there, so that definitely did breathe a little bit of light into us. But again, right here you can see us doing a lot of damage. Our North Carolina getting into a spot, hopefully not taking a big hit right here. But this is just another situation of USN cruisers being strong throughout, because we can be kind of a post up here. And what I'm trying to do is actually get around this, go dark, and then kind of post up right here. I figure I could fight this DM, and then they're all going to kind of focus through here. So if I could post up on this island, get all those broadsides, we're kind of going to win this game. We're down by 3 ships right now, but we have 2 caps and are pushing them through this little channel. So a DM I have to deal with. So you're going to see Des Moines versus Salem. The fight I thought was going to be a bit more of a brawl. Now 1v1 in kind of the open water, the Salem will have the advantage because it has the heal. But again, you're trying to find a spot where this thing has the advantage compared to the DM. Obviously, the DM could just be a DM, and you would still be able to do lots of damage. But you will see a fight between the premium version and then the tech tree version, so that was kind of cool. But it's not exactly what we were looking for, because they offer up a little bit. Obviously, you'll see some funny RNG as well when it comes to this little battle. So kind of posting up, waiting. I don't want to give up my broadside to those guys, and I don't want to give up my broadside to the DM. So you will see a tad of a fight here. But if this DM, as you see, they're all kind of just lemmying through this gap. So our Shima is just like licking their lips right now, trying to, I mean, imagine a Shima at 8 kilometers away, where ships are basically stationary in a gap. There's a Shima right there, 2 Alaskas, an Amagi, a Republic, a Monty. There's a lot of good stuff right there. And popping the radar right now, so we did get a use out of it. So I was expecting a nice little brawl right here. Now we start with AP, and I was waiting to see what this guy did. And this is something that the expert loader could actually help. And so again, don't want to give up my broadside to those guys, and want to kind of fight this out. If I can fight this out, then I can kind of turn north. Also, trying to see if we can set up and see. This is what I was not expecting to happen, was the Des Moines to turn broadside. But hey, it's tier 10 these days. You know, it is what it is. And we're going to start doing USN things against him. We're going to sit on the fire for right now, so that's fine. And look at these full pens and no sits, and I felt so robbed here, because he actually knocks out my front gun, and if that was my Des Moines, I would have been obliterated. His, gifted by the gods. Don't know what the heck happened. Switching to HE now. Obviously, we traded much better than he did, and now he's switching, rotating back broadside again. So this was a really weird fight. It doesn't really show Des Moines versus Salem that well, honestly, because he just went completely broadside. And so 8,000 life, we should be able to take him out and then hopefully get a nice spot. And then, of course, we don't get a broadside citadel. We got the one, and we get one right there. So I don't know what just happened right there, but that is my life. And one thing we have to be careful about is that Shima pushing around too. So one thing I want to do is rotate north, and then hopefully do some Des Moines things to this team. Obviously, the Amagi got wrecked. I think our Shima probably just did like 100,000 damage in that one little setup. Our radar is down, though. But again, when you play this, 9 times out of 10, you're going to feel just like a Des Moines. So is the price of this ship worth getting a premium Des Moines? I just don't really see it. With the continuation, and I kind of figured this was going to happen, with the addition, the permanent addition of just more and more. I mean, there's going to be forever coal ships. There's going to be forever steel ships. There's going to be forever, I would assume forever, free XP ships. To really go out and spend that much time on a ship you can basically get for free just by playing the game in the tech tree, I honestly just don't feel the value. This entire game, I felt like a Des Moines. If I was in a Des Moines, I'd probably be around 30,000 life. Maybe into the high 20s. Was never in fear of dying this game. Des Moines would have had as good of a result, if not better, because we would have been able to radar that one Shima early in the game, and I would have been able to pump out more damage and really kind of probably focus on getting that Shima. As I radared right here, that Shima that was here was probably out of my range. Adding a 1.5 kilometers probably would have radared him too. Honestly, in the end, it didn't matter because we ended up dev striking him in 2 salvos. But our gearing and our Shima and other ships in the middle could have potentially killed him anyway and given us an easier example. So in the end, is the Salem a good ship? I do. I think the Salem is a good ship, but the reason why the Salem is such a good ship is because of the reasons that the Des Moines is a good ship. So do I think the Salem is worth the 240,000 full price tag, or do I think it's worth even the 180,000 full price tag with the coupon? No, I do not. I think it's a good ship. If you like USN premiums, sure, but I think this is definitely a ship to pick up if you just have too much coal laying around. I would definitely save your coal. I think there are other ships even in the arsenal right now. Again, I use the Jean Bart as an example. I think that's something that gives you a unique play style. Even some of the low tier coal ships are, I think, worth it in the end. Again, in this with these high price tag items, both steel ships and the higher tier coal, I would always use the coupon. You get one, I think, every 6 months or so. I would definitely use that because 60,000 coal less is a lot of time. Again, getting 2,000, 3,000, that's a month less of playing, getting that coal. So it does definitely add up and it would save you a lot of time. But if you wanted to pick up the coal for 240k, I mean, that's up to you. I personally just don't see it. Even on my alt account, I'm saving up my coal for the Jean Bart, and I just have no interest in picking up the Salem because I know I can just get the Des Moines, and I don't really have to worry about it. So anyways, guys, that's it for me. A nice little fun game right there. But again, could have done just the same outcome in the DM and probably actually had a little bit more of an impact on some of the early pressure. But overall, a fun game, top of the team, 3 kills, and we got to see some goofiness, Salem versus Des Moines play. And then there's the breakdown of our damage as well as how many credits we earned. Again, it doesn't have the same credit multiplier that a tier 10 premium or tier 9 premium would have, but it does have that camo that will give you a cheaper repair. So in the end, it's still pretty damn good at earning credits. I don't think it's as good as some of the other ships at that tier, but still pretty dang good. But anyways, guys, wanted to let you know what my thoughts were on the Salem and is it worth it or not. Hope this video helps you out and hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.